Hello, how is everyone today? Welcome back. This is Amy, the Mystic Rose Tarot. So here we are. We are in the sign of Virgo as of today. Virgo entered into the sun sign or into the sun position on August 22nd, and it will be here until September 21st. And then from there, we move into the sign of Libra. So I'm here to do the Tarot Astrology profile, which I do every month. And I focus on the characteristics, the influences of the astrological planets, the house of the particular sun sign for that month, but also the tarot cards, the archetypes that are associated with each particular sun sign. And then following this video, I will be doing a separate video to do the decan reading for Virgo 1. And that starts on August 23rd. It varies every other year, August 23rd or 24th, and goes September 1st to 2nd. So it's every 10 days, give or take a day, for each of the decan readings. And so it goes for 30 days. I know there's some days where we have 31 days in the month, but for this, we go 30 days, so 0 to 10. For our first decan, 10 to 20 for our decan 2, and then 20 to 30 degrees. Now that's the Virgo placement for each of these decans. So this is the decans came from the Golden Dawn system. It is used in quite a few tarot decks, some that have been coming out recently in the last few years, but primarily through the Thoth deck. So the Thoth deck came and utilized the different decans. So if you work with the Thoth deck and you have a guidebook, you'll see astrological correspondences for the minor arcana. But I will talk about that in the following video when we go into our first decan for the sign of Virgo. And that card will be the 8 of Pentacles. But here, let's just do our general breakdown. Here we have Virgo, which is an earth sign. It is a mutable sign. Okay, so I'm going to show you this here. So mutability is a card that is flexible. It can work under changeable circumstances. It's adaptability. So Virgo is one of these signs. And in the earth sign, each of our 4 elements, earth, fire, air, water, all have a fixed, mutable, and cardinal sign. Cardinal signs are initiators. Fixed signs are pretty much, well set in their ideas and their actions, and their emotions when they address a situation. But Virgo, whoops, Spirit's calling. Hold on one moment. Hurry. So Virgo comes in, and what it does is it is ruled by the planet of Mercury. So Virgo, the sign itself, and Mercury deals with how we think, how we learn, things, and how we process that information and how it becomes assimilated within us on how we do things in our everyday life, and also how we understand things. So that's for Mercury. Virgo is the sign of health, service, but also of getting things done in order. I know we have Saturn, which is planet of structure and discipline, but this energy, Saturn, is more of a colder sign. Mercury here with the influence of Virgo. Virgo stays very focused, and they know how to work in situations where maybe there is a bit of disarray, because Virgo likes to put things in order. So when things aren't moving in the direction that it should be, Virgo is a sign that could come in. They're almost like the manager of a situation. They look at what's going on. They look at all the details, the positives, the negatives, and they work it in such a way so that it can remedy that situation and make it in a sense that it can, the scenario can move a little smoother. And that would allow Virgo to do its job the way that it needs to, in a very organized fashion. Very perfectionist, so they'll always ask questions. As the more information that they can get, again, that comes in with that Mercury influence of understanding what's going on. Virgo can come in and do the work that it needs to do. So we have the keywords here with heavenly bodies of integrity, reverence, and service. So they will be there for people, but they have to, if Virgo goes in a situation and is trying to help someone, they need to understand exactly what's going on. And Virgo is wonderful in that sense because they are reliable. They will come in and get things going in the direction that it needs to go in. It's very practical. They'll look at a situation and they'll start eliminating things that they feel is just not going to work. They are attentive to everything, everyone's needs in a situation. So there's a lot for Virgo to work through when it comes to working in different situations, whether with themselves, with a work situation, relationships, so on and so forth. So they are the ones that you can rely on. They are seen also as all the earth signs like Taurus and Capricorn. They are seen as workaholics. The earth signs of Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn have different ethics, different perspectives, different means of doing work. They all work hard, but they all come from a different place. Okay, Taurus is that fixed sign. So once Taurus has everything locked down, their tools, the environment that they're in, they're going to go in it. They don't want anything else coming in. Virgo, on the other hand, assesses. They look at what's happening, and they make the changes that they feel that's needed. They want to utilize the best way to better a situation by releasing things, letting go of things, firing, whatever, bringing in the support that's needed. Capricorn, very disciplined, very focused, very hard. They can also be self-critical. All the earth signs can be hard on themselves, more so than I feel some of the other signs and their elements, because these earth signs are grounded. They have a foundation to start from. So if something comes in from outside and disrupts it, it shakes up the energy that they need to be in, to work in a situation or to work through something. The other thing here that we have here with Virgo is the house. The house that it rules is the sixth house. So we have here house of health, hygiene, patterns, the way that we do things in our everyday life. Do we approach challenges in a Virgo-like way, or do we approach challenges in maybe more an emotional way, like through the signs of Cancer, Scorpio, and I'm forgetting one of the other water signs, Pisces. Do we take that perspective when signs like water, air, fire are placed in that sixth house? We have an earth sign that's in the sixth house, like Virgo. They focus on that importance. And so with the sixth house ruling health, how we approach things on an everyday basis, the practicalities of things is very important. So if you have Virgo in the sixth house, and you have planets that support that kind of energy, you're in a good situation. Now, the planets that I feel work very strongly in the sixth house are more or less the planets influences of if the sun's in Virgo or your moon, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, the other planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, because they move so slow, those outer planets, the modern planets, their influence isn't as strong. It's there, but because they move slow, we don't really see the benefits of the shifts with those slower moving planets in the sixth house, as opposed to planets like from the sun all the way into Jupiter and Saturn. So you can take a look at your chart and see these influences of the planets in that sixth house. So if you have earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo in the sixth house, that's very important because it really shows where you're coming from when it comes to how you approach work, how you approach your well-being, how you take care of yourself, how you help others if you are in the service industry, or even healing, because the sixth house does rule health. So it also shows how much of care you put into your health. Okay. Now, of course, when you have your chart, all those other planets are going to show influences as to how well, how prominent, or how negative having that sign and planet in the sixth house and the degree where they are in that house will determine how much of an investment, how much spiritual investment, how much you put into living in that sixth house with that planet and sign influence. Okay, so again, with Mercury, we have the thought, analytical, the approach that Virgo takes in various situations. They are people in the sense that they look out for people. They are concerned about people and what's needed in their best interest. They will do what they can. They, being Virgos, will do what they can to help someone, but at the same time, it's almost like some of the water signs. You don't want to expend too much of yourself. You don't want to give too much of your energy. And because Virgo is mutable, they can work in many different scenarios and forget at the same time to take care of yourself. And I always emphasize this when I do readings, is don't put out more of yourself, because the more you put out, people are going to take. They'll take advantage. It's the human condition. And it's just the way that quite a few people tend to take opportunities if they feel it's there. There's nothing wrong with that, with taking an opportunity, but at the same time, I feel it's very important to have those boundaries with Virgo when it comes to how much you're sharing and giving of yourself. Okay, and because of that hardworking earth nature, it is very easy to overextend yourself and compromise your own health. Okay, so we got to slow it down. I always say slow down with any of the signs. Too much energy, got to bring it down. That's also a message for myself. If I feel that I've been doing too much. Alrighty, so the archetype, tarot archetype that we have for Virgo Now the deck that I'm using here is the Crow's Magic. So I pulled the 2 cards that represent mercurial energy and the association with Virgo. So for the sign of Virgo, it's the Hermit. Okay. So it is keywords we have here: self, but also that internal self. Because of the way Virgo works, they tend to focus more from up here and not so much here. I think it's very important to understand that when you're doing so much stuff in the external realm, we kind of forget, like I mentioned earlier, about taking care of ourselves. Okay. And this is a reminder for those who have Virgo in their charts, sun, moon, or rising, or heavy placements of Virgo, to really look inside, take that moment. Okay, we got healing. Healing can be physical, healing, emotional, and also spiritual. But when we get this card, okay, here with the Crow's Magic, we have the Moth. The Moth represents transformation. Okay, and this is actually a beautiful representation. That's why I pulled out this card. Instead of seeing a robed figure with a walking stick and holding a lantern, we see this personification through the moth. Butterflies, these are all transformational creatures, and they move to the light. There is something that draws them to them. There's something that inspires them. There's a lesson to learn from going inside. What is the inspiration inside? What is motivating you inside to move towards that light? We all have the light, but we also have shadow. Okay. Some people love to move into that shadow. Okay. And they like to stay there. They have to come out. They have to come out and move forward. So I think this is a beautiful rendition because we have the crow in the background, as the guide for this. And the crow is the messenger. Any signs, anything that is out of the ordinary that comes to us, we need to pay attention to. So the signs that we may feel or start seeing inside, spiritually seeing, is an awakening. It's something that we are changing. Okay, whether it's for the better or for the worse, that is for each and every one of you to determine, to decide that. Okay, but it's so important to keep a little light. Whether it's something that you enjoy doing, that light that you have inside needs to keep burning. And people who don't have a burning light, a vigil light inside, light that's constantly burning because you're keeping that force being motivated by something that really makes you feel inspired. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Okay, we have to keep this light burning inside. That's what keeps us moving forward. That fuels us through motivation. If we don't have that light, we have darkness. We can't move around. We can sort of bump into certain things and stuff, but we need to have that guidance. And so that light here stays aflame by finding something that truly excites you, something that makes you inspired. And that's a word that we don't hear very much nowadays. I think probably about 10 years ago, the words of what fuels your passion, what inspires you, I don't hear that as much, which is kind of sad because of the way things have happened in recent years. People have been losing the inspiration, And so when we had the lockdown, that was a wonderful time to actually rekindle this light, finding things that are very important for us. Okay, so with that being said, Virgo with the Hermit. Okay, it's also the card number 9 9 is of higher spiritual knowledge, of awakening. Now with Mercury, we have the Magician. Okay, Mercury is also assigned to the card of the Magician. Okay, now the Magician is the master. This is the keywords that were on here. I'll show you again. The alchemist and the sorcerer. Okay, when you hear those terms, master, alchemist, sorcerer, wizard, these are individuals who know how to work with their inner power and how to use it in different circumstances. They understand the power of fire, air, earth, and water. I know I always say that, but I work with elements. Elemental energy is very important. It's what we're all made up of. We're made up more of some elements, less than others, vice versa. But here, I'm going to put this side by side. Okay. I mean, visually, there's nothing in common, but it's how we use the energy of Mercury, of movement, of learning, of gaining that knowledge, of how we communicate, and using that force of Mercury, air, and putting it to use, putting it in a way where we take that light, okay, that flame is fueled by air, so air is the thought, flame is fire, it's that movement, it's what we do after we've processed everything, and we put it into action. Now, it's like put your money where your mouth is. In the sense here, where everything that we've been thinking about, planning in our head and whatnot, we put it outward, okay? But we do it in a way not like putting it outward in the sense of fire sign, earth sign, nothing physically, but the Magician is almost the culmination of all the forces that we've put into something, and we're seeing the results, okay? And when we see something that is just brilliant, it was executed and planned in such a way that the results ended up being more than what was expected. That's someone who understood how to use the sources that were there. They networked, they met the right people. Now, this isn't going to happen all the time. There are times that you make those choices and there may be a glitch in the process of getting things done. But if you've made some steps, okay, with Virgo, okay, putting things directly, working in different circumstances, asking questions, details, getting things done. That's where the Magician comes in. The Magician's not a lazy archetype. And in fact, when you think about this, it's like we have the Magician and the Hermit. They're both spiritual beings, but they come from a different place. They're doing action. They're doing mercurial action. The Hermit is inside. The Magician is doing the mercurial action of the mind, of the heart, of the body, and I'm forgetting the other one: mind, body, heart, and soul, the mind. So they work with all of those attributes, and they put it into action. The Magician. So for this month of Virgo, and I'll follow more with this kind of information when I do the Decan reading for Virgo 1. Come from a place, Virgo. Come from a place, if you're having a hard time getting things motivated, getting things moving in the way that you need. The best thing to do, if anything, that someone's having a hard time understanding is you have to stop, okay? Slow down, okay? And let any monkey mind, chattering, whatever, let go and focus. Focus on what's going on. I know there's quite a few Virgos that are out here in the divination tarot community. And I see through their chat and watching some of these individuals' videos that they want to help people, that they are there for them. They provide service to people because they're coming from a place where they want to be of guidance for you. But they come from a place where they listen. Virgo's very good at listening and asking questions. Okay, so if there's something, Virgo, that you're stuck, ask questions. Ask questions to yourself. You know, sometimes you hear people kind of talking a little bit back to themselves. It's like, what did I miss? What did I miss? You know, that's that realization. That's that moment. That's that hermit moment when you've been in a situation and it didn't quite turn out the way that you wanted, or you're entering a certain scenario and you're like, what do I need to do? Okay, what do I need to do to get this going, you know, get this started? Virgo is all about questions. I think Virgos are very good students because they listen but also ask questions. Okay, and that's from the Mercury side, processing information so they fully understand. Now, one of the negatories of Virgo is they can, if, let's say, everything that they've put out, everything that they felt they did was in the right placement, and someone comes to them, they may not appreciate someone else's perspective, in the sense that Virgos feel like all the work, everything that they've put into something was right. It was perfect. They don't need anyone else to come in. Or if someone does come in and move everything, that upsets that balance. Okay. I mean, Virgo can work in different situations if they are challenged. Again, they'll do what they can to remedy the situation. But if there is nothing that is being remedied for Virgo, so that they can move forward and, you know, move on other things, it becomes a block for them, and it can be hard for them to move forward because we have this outside influence that's interfering in the need to get things done for closure, wrapping up things. So any stumbling blocks that comes into Virgo can be a little bit more challenging for them. Okay, but Virgo can be very good problem solvers. So if they can let any of that over criticizing of something that's come into their life, if they can let go of that, excuse me, and stop and go, okay, what do I need to do to take care of this? And don't be surprised, because you'll hear Virgos that may come. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? They'll communicate with people, they'll go back and forth, and then from there, they being Virgos, will make the call, assess, and take things into action so that it's done and that they can move on. Okay, and sometimes that action can come across very cold, but Virgo is there to get something done, and they need to be trusted by their choices that they make, that whatever they're going to do is going to work out. Okay, that's the perfectionist side of Virgo, and that's a little bit where the magician comes in. You know, getting things right, overseeing, looking at things, and making sure that it is that things are moving in the direction. The T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. All of that comes into play. Alrighty, so that's it. Happy birthday to all the Virgos. And for those who have Virgo rising, Virgo moon, you can apply this video to you, okay? Because you can use the planetary influences of the moon and the rising and your rising sign to help you, to actually use it as an influence for you to work in certain situations. So I mentioned this almost every other video, that whatever sign, whenever I do these tarot astrology profiles, whatever sign, sun sign that we're currently in, regardless if it's in my chart or not, I focus solely on that energy, and I bring that in, and I utilize the positives and the negatives of that sign to learn from it. So I encourage all of you who watch this video, anyone who watches this video, to do that as an exercise for those who are bringing in astrology into their practice, or even the tarot. Work with these tools, work with the energy for Virgo of Mercury, okay? Exercising this when it comes to making choices, and of course the influence of Virgo, okay? You may need to be a little bit more precise with your actions to get things done. You may have to be of more service, to be of service to people. And then, of course, where it resides. Okay, look at your planets and the signs in the 6th house, which rules Virgo. Look at the planets and signs in your chart in the 6th house, and look up where they are. If it's Mars and Scorpio in the 6th house, or any other planet, different sign, look at those energy forces of the planet, the sign, and how it affects how you approach everyday living, your own health, and helping others, and also your own health as well. And then once you have an idea you get a good idea of those placements, start utilizing the archetypes, the magician, and of course, the hermit, okay? Everything's internal, and once we've gone through the soul-searching aspect of the hermit's influence, we start showing it through the actions of the magician. Okay. Alrighty, so that's the recap. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, you know where to reach me. My website. Feel free to leave comments, any questions, let people know about this channel. If you like what I have to share, like my energy, so on and so forth. So right after this, the next video, as I mentioned, will be the reading for our first decan in Virgo. And I will be working with the 8 of Pentacles, which is assigned to Virgo. And so throughout the month, our first decan is the 8 of Pentacles. Second decan is 9 of Pentacles. The second decan will be from September 2nd, 3rd, to probably around the 12th, 13th. So remember, a decan's about 10 days for each 0 to 10 degree. 10 to 20 is decan 2 for Virgo, and then 20 to 30, that will probably be like the 12th, 13th to the 22nd of September, and that leads us to the end of Virgo, and we start into Libra. Okay, so stay tuned for that next decan reading for the month of Virgo. Happy birthday to all the Virgos, first decan Virgos that have birthdays this week, and I will see you all again soon. Thank you so much for watching and your support.